It's the moment your brand new weapon is finally tested and it fails in public. December 2025 gave China's clone-driven military machine 2 stress tests that don't care about glossy footage. First alarm, the tank. December 8, 2025, Thailand-Cambodia border clashes reignite. The kind of chaotic live-fire environment where crews don't shoot for show, they shoot to survive. In the middle of that, a Chinese-made VT-4 export tank, Norinco, suffers a serious main gun failure. The Royal Thai Army publicly confirms the gun was badly damaged after repeated firing and opens a technical investigation. Now, in tank terms, repeated firing isn't abuse, it's the job. And this wasn't a toy purchase. Defense News reported Thailand's deal is about $58 million for 10 VT-4 tanks, roughly $5.8 million each. So here's the nightmare scenario for discount armor. The moment a real fight starts, the platform taps out. Yes, the viral claim that it failed after 200 shots is debated, but a VT-4 carries roughly 38 rounds total, with about 22 ready in the autoloader. So any triple-digit firing story implies multiple resupply cycles under pressure, exactly when reliability becomes the whole war. Under drones, under fatigue, under heat. For context on what normal durability looks like, let us look at the gold standard of Western armor, the American M1 Abrams. The technical manuals for the Abrams M256 cannon list an effective full-charge barrel life of roughly 1,500 rounds. The breech mechanism itself has a safe service life of 4,500 rounds. These numbers exist because Western armies designed their gear around sustained, brutal firing cycles where the equipment is expected to take a beating and keep working. They design predictable wear patterns so maintenance crews know exactly when a part will fail. The Chinese industrial approach, often prioritizing speed of delivery and low cost over advanced materials science, can sometimes result in what engineers call roulette wheel failure. So the first crack in the clone strategy is simple. You can copy a silhouette. You can copy a brochure, but you can't cheaply copy the invisible thing that keeps a weapon alive under tempo, materials quality plus testing plus maintenance culture. Keep that thought, because the second alarm is louder. The carrier. December 16, 2025, Taiwan's defense ministry tracks China's newest carrier, Fujian, Type 003, transiting the Taiwan Strait, its first reported strait passage since entering service in November. Taiwan releases imagery, and the detail that jumps off the screen isn't a missile or a fighter or a dramatic formation. It's emptiness. No aircraft visible on the deck. According to intelligence assessments, the Fujian was not on a power projection cruise to intimidate its neighbors. It was likely limping back to Shanghai's Chongqing Island shipbuilding area for improvements and repairs. Beijing remained silent on the maneuver, but the timeline speaks volumes to anyone who understands naval operations. And here's why that matters. Fujian is not just another flat top. It's the one built to signal parity. China's first carrier designed around electromagnetic catapults, EMALS-type tech. Catapults are not a feature. They are a lifestyle. Because the only way you trust a catapult is by abusing it in peacetime until it stops surprising you. And the only proof that counts is repetition. Launch after launch, day after day, until the weak links show themselves. The U.S. benchmark shows how brutal that workup is. The USS Gerald R. Ford set a single-day record of 170 launches and 175 arrestments in an 8.5-hour period in December 2020. This is what combat-ready looks like. Sustained tempo, pushed hard enough to break cables, fry electronics, and expose software bugs before anyone is shooting back. By contrast, analysts have repeatedly stressed Fujian's systems are still in early testing and integration and could need significant additional time before full operational readiness. Add the extra constraint. Fujian is conventionally powered, not nuclear. High sortie generation is not just skill, it's electrical margin, endurance, and maintenance rhythm. So the shocking proof isn't a rumor. It's the timeline itself. A brand new, roughly 80,000-ton flagship built to announce parity appears in the Strait weeks after commissioning, apparently headed toward the yard, while the reference programs spent years grinding out launch counts to prove the machine can sustain tempo. Now we can finally name the pattern. China's military isn't built around one wonder weapon. It's built around an industrial method. Copy what works. Compress development time, scale it fast. To be fair, China can be novel, But in defense hardware, novelty is cheap, repeatability is expensive, and when you rush it, the first buyer becomes the test range. That's the trick. It looks the same until the stress test starts. And that takes us to the core of China's industrial method, the clone. In the 1990s, China arranged licensed production of the Russian Su-27. China's J-11 program grows out of that pipeline. Russian kits, then progressively more domestic parts and avionics on later variants. Then the family tree spreads. J-11, the Su-27 lineage. J-16, a strike-focused evolution tied to the flanker line. J-15, the carrier fighter. And J-15 is where cloning turns into a cliffhanger. Multiple open sources report China acquired an unfinished Su-33 prototype from Ukraine, often cited as T-10K3, and studied it as part of developing the J-15. Result? A carrier fighter that looks like a Russian carrier flanker, because the DNA is Russian. But here's the hidden part. Carriers aren't jets. Carriers are ecosystems, salt corrosion, deck handling, arresting gear cycles, catapult stress, engine life, human error at night. So when you see Fujian's deck empty, don't think photo op. Think the pipeline is still paying its tuition. China's Y-20 is often framed as a C-17 class answer strategic lift. The U.S. Air Force lists the C-17's max payload at 170,900 pounds, or 77,519 kilograms, and roughly 2,400 nautical miles unrefueled range with a heavy load. And yes, Y-20 can move big cargo. The point isn't it can fly. The point is what you can't copy fast: dispatch reliability, engine durability, global sustainment, and the boring logistics culture that keeps a fleet flying every day. Early Y-20 versions relied on imported engines before domestic options matured. And engines are the hardest thing to clone because they're not drawings. They're metallurgy, coatings, and manufacturing precision at high temperatures. China's Z-20 is frequently compared to the UH-60 Black Hawk class because the missions set matches. Medium utility lift, troops, sling loads, all-weather operations. But helicopters are gearboxes disguised as vehicles. A Black Hawk's reputation is built on millions of flight hours, where you learn the tiny failure modes that kill readiness. Vibration, microcracks, seal leaks, supply chain bottlenecks. You can clone the shape. You cannot clone decades of fleet sustainment culture. Long-range SAMs are not just missiles, they're sensor networks. Analysts commonly describe China's HQ-9 long-range SAM family as heavily influenced by Russian S-300 concepts and related design logic. And at the medium range, the HQ-16 system is described by U.S. Army TRADOC Odin as derived from earlier versions of the Russian Buk missile system. Here's why air defense is the perfect clone trap. It's a team sport. Radars, data links, operators, doctrine, maintenance, electronic warfare. A missile can look great, but if your radar reliability, operator training, and integration aren't there, your system becomes a collection of expensive guesses. And in a real fight, you don't lose to the missile you didn't buy. You lose to the track you misread. At sea, China's YJ-18 anti-ship cruise missile is widely assessed as derived from the Russian 3M-54E club missile. Again, the point isn't it's fake. The point is the method. Absorb a proven design, then deploy it across platforms fast. But the non-clone is not the missile body. It's the kill chain, targeting, mid-course updates, EW resilience, and battle damage assessment. A missile with a weak kill chain is just a fast suggestion. So when you see a missile stat sheet, don't ask how far, ask how sure. If you want the most obvious silhouette comparisons in the entire Chinese arsenal, look at armed drones. The CH-4 Rainbow series has been widely described in open sources as Predator-style. Popular Mechanics described it as a copy of the famous Predator in reporting on foreign buyers' experiences in the export drone market. VOA reported China sold Wing Loong 2 to the UAE and described it as roughly equivalent to the American MQ-9 Reaper in that export context. And drones are where the clone gap punishes buyers quickly, because buyers do not care about ideology. They care about uptime. A drone program lives or dies on SATCOM links, sensor quality, and maintenance support. You can sell a drone. You can't easily sell the sustainment ecosystem that keeps it flying every day. Even on the ground beyond tanks, design DNA travels. The Chinese ZBD-04 infantry fighting vehicle's design was inspired by the Soviet-Russian BMP-3. And here's the important takeaway. China often starts with an imported concept, then swaps subsystems, optics, electronics, armor packages, until it becomes a domestic family. Sometimes that produces real improvements. Sometimes it produces hidden weak points. You don't know which until the system is forced into sustained use. So, is cloning bad? Here's the twist people miss. Cloning can be strategically brilliant. It accelerates fielding, it lets you skip dead ends, it lets you modernize at breakneck speed. And in some subsystems, especially electronics, China can leapfrog older originals by replacing analog with modern digital. But cloning has a trap door. If you build faster than you can test, train, and sustain, your force can look modern without being resilient. That's why those 2 stress tests at the beginning matter so much. The VT-4 gun failure isn't just one tank broke, it's the nightmare of discount procurement. The platform meets sustained firing under pressure and the failure is public. And Fujian's empty deck isn't just a photo with no jets. It's a reminder that carrier power is measured in launch counts, not commissioning ceremonies. So here's your learn something takeaway. Simple, brutal, and true. You can clone hardware. You cannot clone the years it takes to make hardware boringly reliable. And war is a competition to see whose weapons stay boring the longest. Because when the shooting doesn't stop, the most advanced weapon isn't the one with the best brochure. It's the one that still works on day 30. So next time you see a new Chinese platform that looks familiar, ask one question. How many hard reps has it done? How many full tempo cycles? How many launches? How many landings? How many hours? How many rounds? Because in the end, that number is the real weapon. Not the silhouette, not the speech, the number. Bye for now.